Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stream of Blood, the tabletop role-playing game live stream where we play games that involve violence, mayhem, horror, and loss of sanity. You have tuned in for Chapter 4 of our Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in Pittsburgh, Vampires of Pittsburgh, a city that I think we can all agree is steeped in gothic horror. So I'm so happy you're here, and we have an amazing game that's happening tonight. I'm really excited for what we have planned, but I'm just gonna vamp for a couple minutes up top about a couple things. One is we have a new game, a new series starting this Sunday. We here at Stream of Blood, we stream every Wednesday and Sunday. Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, we are playing Call of Cthulhu, but not just any Call of Cthulhu game, my friends. We are playing Call of Cthulhu Dark Ages. So you will see Humphrey Carr, Jackie Cation, and Becca Scott engage in a Cthulhu investigation in the 10th century in Anglo-Saxon England. And I'm really, really excited for that one. And I don't know, if you're into vampire, it feels like you might be excited for that too. So please tune in, check that out, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time this coming Sunday. What else can I tell you about our streams and our games? We've really been enjoying all of the response we've been getting from you guys who are watching. So if you like the show, please follow us on Twitter. It's _ Stream of Blood _ please retweet when we're doing streams. Let your friends know that this is happening. And engage with us on Instagram as well. And let us know what games you'd like to see, or even stuff you'd like to see happen in the games. So if you're a vampire fan and you're like, hey, dude, how come you haven't shown Clan Tremere do any blood sorcery? I'd like to see that. Well, one of the advantage of these kind of streaming shows is if you tell me, I will make that happen. I have absolutely no artistic principles whatsoever, and we'll try to incorporate every single suggestion you have. If you have a game that you'd like us to play, Sundays are for us to play a lot of different games. Cthulhu Dark Ages will be 2 parts, and then we're going to move on to something else. So please let us know. Oh, there it is, Cthulhu Dark Ages. And look at those wonderful headshots that really kind of, I think, evoke the feeling of the Dark Ages and the feeling of mind-bending cosmic horror that Cthulhu is supposed to give you. Guys, there's no more horrific career than the life of a professional comic or actor. And I can tell you that all of them know things man was not meant to know. So when you see a headshot, scream in horror, because truly it is a tough business. Well, I think that we're going to start bringing our players in and start talking about what happened last time. I think one of our players is a little late tonight. He's going to be with us in a second, so we might have to wait a little longer for him. But I'm going to go ahead and get our players on and start talking about what happened last time. So let's bring them out. You've seen them in the first 3 chapters of Vampire the Masquerade, Vampires of Pittsburgh. And if you haven't seen this series yet, go back and watch the other 3 parts. This is a serial, you guys. You got to see the whole saga, okay? They're all on YouTube on the Stream of Blood channel. But first, let me bring out our players tonight, playing the drug-addled and haunted veteran of the Afghanistan war, now turned gangrel vampire. Please welcome the extremely talented improviser, artist, writer, comedian, Mr. Ross Bryant, everybody. Yeah, hello. Hi. Yeah, you always got that dramatic turn ready to go.
I committed to doing it the other time, so now I'm locked in. And what you said about headshots, truer words were never spoken.
That's right, man. I tell it like it is here on the streams, dude.
I can think of no more elegant artifact of eldritch cyclopean horror than to look into the eyes in someone's headshot.
Yes, in a comedy club, the various photos that line the walls are like a gallery of horrors.
Yes.
What do you think Curtis is going to get into tonight? Where do you think his head is at? He's turned into a vampire. He's been recruited into the Camarilla. Where do you think he's going tonight? You have any guesses?
God, I can only hazard guesses because he's fallen hard and fast, and his bestial nature has really come out since at the end of last week's installment. As I recall, he was sucking down on a local cafe patron.
Yes, you guys had already eaten your first gentrifier.
That's right.
At the end of the last chapter. Yes,
that's our way of justifying our feeding as an act of social justice.
Yeah. So, hey, you need a lot of justifications, I think, when you drink the blood of mortal men. Well, let's see where he goes tonight. Curtis, though, he was the only one who didn't earn a stain in the previous 2 chapters on his humanity. So maybe he'll be able to maintain, walk that path between light and dark.
Yes.
I'm going to bring out your next player. She is so fun to play with. This is the first game I ever got to play. Oh no, that's not true. We played a little D&D together, but this is the first time I've really gotten to enjoy her role playing. She's on a show called Mythic Quest: Raven's Banquet, and she's just so fun to play with and such a talented improviser and actress. Please welcome Ashley Burch, everybody.
Thank you for having me. I'm determined to make it happen.
Yes.
Right. And I forgot
Hi,
it.
everybody.
Thank you so much for reminding me. Guys,
of course.
Hashtag Get Pink. It's a movement, and it reminds us, it reminds our vampires to use the blush of life when they enter social situations with mortals. Otherwise, they look like a corpse walking around, which I think
we really need to remember.
Yeah.
Right. And I said I'm not going to remind you, but I might remind you a little bit here and there. Yeah. Ashley, how are things? What do you think is going to happen to Jen Brown? Your character is Jen Brown. She owns her own tech company, but then she was embraced by an anarch, and now she is a thin blood vampire, a vampire who is so far from the original, the original source of vampiric blood that her power is a little funky. She's a little different. What do you think is going to happen to her tonight?
I think Jen really desperately wants to get to a computer console and be able to go through the prince's USB. In our weird, dingy warehouse, there's no power.
Yes.
So I think Jen is still very much clinging on to her mortal life. So I think she's going to try to find out what's going on with her company and get to the internet.
Yes, I think there might be an opportunity for her to do that. And, she's uniquely suited to cling to her mortal life because she's, as a thin blood, she doesn't even have that pale pallor that requires the blush of life. She looks like a breathing person, just sometimes fangs come out and she rips open the wrist of a hipster from a cafe. Thank you for being here, Ashley. I'm going to bring your final player into the stream right now. This guy, he's been in a lot of games with me. We've played Cthulhu, Dungeons and Dragons, GURPS, so many things. And man, this guy loves some role play. He does it all day for his job, and then at night he comes and role plays with me, and it's just an honor. So please welcome the hilarious, talented Mr. Thomas Middleditch. Whoa!
Whoa! Scenery change.
Yeah. Lots changing her. Just giving you the eye madness, my friends.
Right. And Thomas, how are you holding up? How are things?
Jesus, I'm good.
Whoa, are you in bed right now?
I am.
Ooh, an intimate evening.
Yeah,
just thought I'd get a little bit more, relaxed for this.
Right. Yeah, this is supposed to be kind of a soothing sort of boudoir story, so that's good.
Very Anne Rice.
Yeah, leaning into the Anne Rice. Thomas, your character is Miles Vanderbuck. He's a grizzled old Union guy turned Bruja vampire. Where do you think he's going to go tonight? What do you think is going to happen to him? He recently got kind of adopted as sort of a protege of the prince of the city and actually drank some of her blood.
Yeah. I think he's starting to drink the Kool-Aid, as it were. Not only in terms of just feeling the effects of that titillation of being a vampire, but also, this is all the stuff that they were talking about back in the Union. finally being able to have the power to do something. And God damn it, we finally do. And so he started seeing the potential to right life's wrongs now that he's sadly had to say goodbye to his daughter.
Yeah, he had his final goodbye with his Touchstone character, the Touchstone NPC, his daughter. It went well. You didn't frenzy or do anything weird while you were there, so that's good.
But she was working for the company that the health insurance company that like denied my wife coverage or something like that.
I think it's the company that kind of employs you and has been fucking you guys over in union negotiations. Yeah. So and it's also the same company that's that the Ventru Primogen is trying to use to buy Jen's company. You got an offer last time from the Ventru vampires to buy your company, Jen Brown, right?
I did. I recall telling them to fuck off.
Yeah, you did, and they didn't take it very well.
No, not tremendously.
No. Yeah, that company's name that's trying to buy you guys out or that's screwing over your union, Miles Vanderbrook, is Flowcom. A delightfully sanitized but still somewhat creepy name.
Yes, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Flowcom. Remember them because they're trouble in the world of darkness, Pittsburgh. But we're going to go ahead and begin. We're going to start tonight. Not quite where we left off. But where we left off, you guys had just really taken your first victim near your new haven in the neighborhood of Pittsburgh called Mexican War Streets, which is sort of a kind of a rundown neighborhood that's being kind of flipped and gentrified. You guys are making your haven now as the only haven available to you, the one that was offered to you by the Camarilla higher-ups here in Pittsburgh. In an old mattress factory that, as Ashley has pointed out, doesn't have power to it. It's just like it's a terrifying old ruin of a factory. And yeah, there it is. Yeah, those are your digs right now.
Cozy.
The benefits of it is that you found a bunch of guns there that were left by their previous owner, a vampire that you kind of, I don't know, caused to get in deep trouble with the hierarchy. And who's now being tortured or destroyed somewhere in Pittsburgh for his crimes. But it's your haven now. So he left a lot of guns there. There's sort of a secret passageway, like down through like some tunnels beneath the street that pops out of a manhole like nearby. And that's where in that alleyway where that that secret exit to your haven lets out. You guys kind of fed on a woman, but you did make sure to break free of the feed before you had completely killed her. And when you were done, you realized that because you had taken some damage and you'd used some powers, Miles Vanderbrook is fine, but Ashley, your character Jen Brown, and Ross, Curtis Krieger, they both still had like a hunger of 3, or I think, going. Curtis, you might have been at 2. So, yeah, and I think that rather than going into the weeds on like exactly what they're doing right now to take care of that, I think that we're going to kind of let a week pass, and we're going to define some scenes. We're going to define some scenes that happened during that week. But the main thing I want to know is, as that week passes, how are you feeding? Like, what is your feeding style? How are you getting food? How are you getting blood night after night? Because that is going to define your character's predator, which we have not defined yet, but which is a core trait of a vampire character. So I think I'll start with the person who is the least hungry, Miles Vanderbrook. Miles, how is Miles getting blood, which he needs, every couple of nights at least?
What's my feeding style?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm asking. And it's the sky's the limit. You can define it any way you want, and then I'll kind of try to find a predator to match it.
Oh my God. Jeez. I think Miles has some kind of like righteousness and some kind of like moral code as to who should get it and who shouldn't. And it's like anyone who he sees as blue collar, like local Pittsburgh steelworker cat, they're safe. And anyone who looks like some goddamn millennial, it's a trust fund kid. Somebody who's had a silver spoon, I think he probably feels as if they deserve a good sucking.
That's good, and please call it that. A good sucking.
Right here, have a good sucking, shall we?
Give him a bit of the gold suck, old boy.
So we know what prey attracts him, or what prey he finds to be beneath him in the food chain. But
Okay.
what strategy does he use to ensnare them and get them in his clutches? Does he use violent force? Does he use? Does he seduce them? What does he do?
Definitely not seduction.
Yeah,
It's probably a mix of, because he looks a bit like like he's an old timer, and he can probably mimic a limp or spare some change kind of thing. So he maybe tricks them, but I think over time he's probably getting a thirst. He's getting a hunger for like that power and a little bit of that quick sudden burst of violence.
okay, so when
when
he finally jumps them, he's kind of attacked.
I want him to change as a result of this vampirism. He's not the same man.
So when he finally does, so he's kind of playing a Trojan horse game with people, and when they get close, he just jumps them.
Oh yeah, baby.
Okay, I think that's going to ultimately make him an alley cat is the name of the predator, and that can go on your sheet beside predator.
Alley cat.
Yes, that is the Alley Cat theme song. You can take a specialty in. It says intimidation or brawl, but what you've described is tricking people. So I'll allow you to take a specialty in subterfuge or brawl. Do you have any subterfuge dots? The bottom there, subterfuge.
Okay, subterfuge.
Right above willpower.
Right above willpower. I don't know.
Okay, guess what? Give him. The way you described it is he's like kind of pretending to be hurt. Then they come to him, and then he kind of like jumps them. So I think he now has 2 subterfuge, and he has a specialty in subterfuge, which is like, what would we call this? Like something like seeming harmless, or
Isn't it, Clint? Isn't there a disadvantage in pitiful or something?
I was thinking
GURPS thing.
It's called pitiable.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great GURPS advantage.
So and I think that Miles feels sorry for himself sometimes in general. So he has the specialty pitiable with 2 dots of subterfuge now.
I'm putting that. Where am I writing pitiable?
You're going to write that on the line between the word subterfuge and the dots.
Copy that, dude.
Anytime he is tricking people into thinking he's pitiable, he'll get an extra die. That's what the specialty gives you.
Okay.
And,
I love that.
The storyteller's feeling generous. He might, let a couple other things, go your way. The only problem is when you take the alley cat predator, you also lose a dot of humanity.
Oh,
great! I love that too. So I erase it somehow.
That's right. Yeah, just whatever
forevermore.
You do. Forevermore, you're like attacking people in an alley all the time. It's taking it down. I know it's just been a week, but you've changed so much, really.
I love it. And where am I supposed to be putting alley cat? Like, where's that?
It's beside predator on your sheet, which is in the right beneath ambition and desire. There's something that says predator. Do you see that anywhere?
No, I have resonance.
Okay, well,
predator.
Maybe I'm using a different sheet than you. It's like this one is what I'm using, and the predator is right there. It's right.
Oh, at the top. Yeah, I got it. Okay, great.
Great. And then also, you gain a background. You gain a background of contacts and criminals. We don't have to define those yet, and maybe he hasn't even met those people yet, but because he's kind of just hanging around in dark places and jumping people, he's going to gain like criminal contacts. And let's see, Miles already has a dot of potence, and he has 2 dots of presence now. I think we leave him there. I think that's what his. So Miles has been spending the week when he needs to feed. He acts pitiable. He acts like a hurt or like confused old man. And as someone gets close, like, you need help, old timer? He gives them a good suck. All right. So now let's talk to Curtis Krieger. Curtis, how has Curtis been feeding?
Okay. Part of me thinks that after the success of the events that occurred at the end of last week, Curtis went out at night and tried to find a stray dog.
Yeah.
And let's say he found one. The type of dog that maybe like somebody bought, didn't know how to deal with. A pit bull mix of some kind. The kind that are always abandoned because they stop being cute and they start having too much energy. And he's now begun to bond with this dog, feed it, and use it as a hunting dog. So he'll walk the streets, go to a place where like a bar, a restaurant, or hopefully a more like gallery space, poetry reading kind of first wave gentrification business is letting out, and then single out somebody in the departing group, and then send the dog out. Be like, oh, hey, can you grab my dog for me? I'm sorry. Can you follow it? I'll make the dog lead them down into a secluded spot, and that's when I take them.
Okay, so that's the same technique you used before. As you were like, "Have you seen my dog?" Or your dog got loose. Like, so you got this whole grift ready.
That's what I'm doing. I'm running a grift.
Yeah, but
he's a grifter.
Yeah, and so you are. That's interesting. And you are really kind of still accosting them when you get into the alley, though, right? You're like having to attack them once they're down there, right?
That's right.
So it's not in any way consensual. It's kind of like you're kind of mugging them for their blood once you've done that. Well, first I want to tell you 2 things. One is like, as you develop this relationship with this pit bull, you find that it starts to like follow your commands. Like you can kind of actually hear its thoughts, like we established last time with the cat. And an odd thought occurs to you at one point. What would happen if I fed it a little bit of my blood?
Okay, yeah. And part of me is like,
You're right, Jared. That is an odd thought.
I mean, that's an odd thought to us, but I think I know the dog's thoughts, and I know what a dog would like, and sometimes I just hear its thoughts in my head begging for flesh.
Yes, the dog who probably needs a name soon, but not necessarily tonight. You can just feel it salivating, and like it's responding to the heat of the beast inside of you. You're a dead corpse, but inside of you rages this weird beast, and the dog can see it where no one else can. The mortals walking by, they don't see it, but the dog sees it, and the dog's hungry for it. The dog wants a taste of that beast inside of you. I'll just put that out there, and I'll say that I think that you are also an alley cat, because you are running like kind of a trick on people in an alleyway, and that's how you're like getting their blood. So I'm going to let you take a specialty in intimidation or brawl. Do you have either of those?
I have brawl.
Okay, go ahead and take a specialty in brawl, and you can make it grapple.
Okay.
I think that what you're doing is like once you've tricked them down the alleyway, you're grabbing them and not letting go until you've got your taste.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's also look at the fact that I think you have all of the disciplines that you need, but I think that you're also going to lose a dot of humanity for doing this.
All right.
And you are going to gain some contacts. And again, these are undefined right now, but later in the game, you could go like, actually, I know these guys, and we will put them into play. Just know that it comes from you being an alley cat, so you can't be like, actually, I know a county select man. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody shady who would give you weapons or the means to attack people in alleyways. Okay. And the dog, name the dog, because the dog is with you now. The dog is your familis, your familiar.
Ooh.
And Jen Brown. How is Jen Brown, who, by the way, left the game last time with a hunger of 3, even after feeding from that gentrifier? She hadn't quite been sated. How is Jen getting fed each night?
So I don't know if this is if a week is enough time, but since that run-in with, I forgot his name, but the asshole that wanted to buy my company.
Francis. He said his name was Francis. Yes.
He mentioned that his employer has a bunch of mortals that do work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if a week is long enough to have enlisted a mortal. That probably has like larger implications, I'm guessing.
No, I mean, maybe. Tell me what you kind of want to recruit mortals to feed on?
No. So my thought was that Jen, I don't think is much of a sex pot. My thought was, and she also doesn't like the idea of feeding on people that don't, at least she can't justify in some way that they deserve it. So my thought was that maybe enlisting someone who is a sex pot to find some creepy guys that person can lure away. So I have like high awareness and stuff like that. So maybe like finding marks, sending this person after them, getting them to sort of seduce, and then taking them aside. And
you want to put a seductress on the payroll?
Yes.
Well, I don't even know if there's a predator in the book that that fits that, but I do think that there is one called Siren. So what I could do is I could give you I don't think you can ghoul anybody though, because you're a thin blood. So this would be somebody you would just be like paying money to, and I don't think you have like resources on your sheet yet either. So like it would be tough to pay this person enough for them to stick their neck out like this right now. These are awesome plans. I don't want you to think that your plan as a player wasn't perfect. You just might be like a couple episodes away from bringing them to fruition. But I like that Jen Brown is a Machiavellian manipulator and people mover.
That's my goal. But yeah. It's only been a week, so that's fair if that isn't viable.
But do you think that like she would prefer to feed on people who have been kind of, well, would you think she'd prefer to feed on animals for right now? We could change her predator later. That's one type of predator, is someone that feeds on animals. Or do you think that she's trying to maybe depend on that blood source in Elysium, like the bottled blood that they get there?
Well, the last time I had that blood, it didn't do anything, right? Because when I was really, really hungry, I tried to drink it and it didn't do anything.
And the issue with that was that it doesn't stay good for very long. And you had been carrying it around for like, a subsequent night, and it really loses its potency. Now, some people have an merit called iron gullet, some kindred, and that means they can drink fucking vile shit, like, and it doesn't really bother them. They could get sustenance from that. But you having that, like, you already have that like flaw where even the sight of blood makes you kind of want to throw up, and you like to mix your blood with, since you're a thin blood, you like to mix your blood with vodka and other things, like, you couldn't really handle it that particular time.
Okay, so then in that case, could we say, that I've been trying to feed predominantly on animals, and when I can make it back to Elysium, I've been drinking from their stores?
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you since you're predominantly feeding from animals, I'm going to give you the farmer predator for now. Okay. And the farmer gets a specialty in animal ken. Do you have any animal ken?
No, I don't.
Go ahead and give yourself 2 dots of animal ken, and go ahead and make the specialty cats, because you have a cat.
Am I feeding on them?
Yeah, but maybe not your cat.
Not my cat. Okay,
cats. And then
we've got a cat's theme going on. A couple of alley cats.
Couple alley cats
and a lady that likes cats.
And an old cat sucker.
I like it.
And by the way, this is the episode where everybody needs to break into song, and
Perfect.
we're going to show all of your assholes. You guys are familiar that there is a Cats cut where they show the cat's buttholes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've heard this.
Making sure that everyone got that joke, otherwise it would be kind of troubling.
I did it, and I liked it anyway.
So it's farmer 2 bips on animalkin.
That's right.
And then is that it?
That's well, I'm going to tell you what else.
Oh, sorry.
So after you have fed, like right after you have that blood in your system, you can only when you fed, and then after you've used this, you know, a couple nights pass, you can't use it anymore. You'll get dots of animalism or protein, like 1 dot, like for a little while, and then once you've used up that blood, it goes away. That's how thin bloods work. So whereas these guys can only use certain powers and their powers stick, your powers kind of come and go based on what kind of blood you feed on.
Okay. And does it vary by animal?
It does a little bit vary by animal.
Okay.
And then it varies also by the types of humans you eat. So like if you drink some of the, that blood labeled phlegmatic, that gives you certain powers. If you drink some of that blood labeled choleric, you get some of that. Those were the like different bottles at Elysium, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can get different powers, but they're temporary. They don't last forever. And if your character wants to investigate that more, she might. Now, here's what you do get. You get a couple other things, Jen. You gain a dot of humanity because you're refusing to feed on people. So go ahead and give yourself another humanity dot.
So does that get rid of a stain? Because I had a stain. Or does it give me a...
Doesn't get rid of your stain yet.
Oh, okay.
But if you keep doing nice things that take you away from the vampire experience, which is a bad, dark, black hole into evil, then you may eventually get rid of that stain. The way Miles got rid of his stain by, treating his daughter well and giving her a sincere goodbye. And then finally, you're going to gain a flaw. In your list of flaws, you gain the flaw of vegan. Vegan, that's what vampires call someone who won't feed from people. And we can go into more about what happens with that later. But now is the perfect time. Ashley was bringing up all kinds of these plans that she has for Jen, and that's perfect. That's exactly what a game like Vampire lets you do that sometimes other games don't let you do, is you can kind of be proactive and come up with plans for your character. So now with the rest of this week, you didn't just feed. What else did you do? And you can also say, I don't know, Jared, give me something. Or you could also say, I don't know, maybe I go with Curtis on his thing. I mean, whatever you want to do if you can't think of something right now. So let's go in the opposite direction. Since we're with Jen and she has some plans and things she's thinking about, what is Jen Brown doing with this week?
My thought is that, and I could even be the woman that we drank from at the end of the last game, but whoever, I want to get to a place with internet. I want to be able to contact people in my company, look through the Princess USB drive, like cross-examine that with like senator, because I know there are vampires everywhere now. So prominent people, senators, people that are high in business, whatever. And I basically want to contact, so I have on my sheet, I have a friend named Sabrina. I don't know if you had intentions with that, but my thought was that maybe she could be my COO or like a co-CEO of the company.
I think so. Yeah, that makes sense.
That I would contact and basically, because I know that they're going to try to fake my death, and basically tell her, not everything yet, obviously, but basically like the company is in your hands. I got into some weird shit. No matter what you hear, do not sell, basically. And then I want to keep sort of like a channel in for me where I can still get into the back door of the company, look at all of, basically just be able to have like the Eye of Sauron on everyone's social media profiles and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So you're following, you're kind of giving the reins to Sabrina, and you're kind of keeping a close eye on everybody that works for you and the workings of the company day to day. Is that right?
Yes. And I also want to keep giving myself a salary. I can take a pay cut to make it not as like whatever, but I want to make sure that I like have money coming in. And I want to see specifically as well, get all the information on the Princess USB. I wanted to see if there's anything interesting in terms of vampires that are prominent in public circles, like in the mortal realm, like senators or prominent business folk or whatever it happens to be. If there's anyone, and like what their clan affiliations are and stuff like that.
Okay.
I just want to do like a big investigation week.
Jen Brown,
Great.
Jen Brown.
Brown,
High level
Got
chess.
Just
a
some
goddamn
sheer work.
agenda. So let's start with handing the reins over to Sabrina. And you're calling her, or are you going to meet her in person?
Probably meet her in person. So there's no. No, I'm not gonna meet her in person. I'm gonna call her.
Okay.
But I'm gonna ensure that my line is secure.
Okay. And well, to do that, why don't you go ahead and let's go ahead and start with all this. Give me a technology, give me a wits plus technology roll, I think.
Is my hunger still at 3?
I'm going to say no. We talked about how you had come up with a strategy to feed. You're basically getting these cats to come to you, or maybe by putting out saucers of milk or something that you're feeding on them at night. So I think that you've got it down to 1 right
Okay.
now.
And you said,
but I got to tell you, you're spending a lot of time trying to feed to get this done.
Okay.
And so, but that's okay. We might get into that later. Give me a wits plus technology roll to make sure your line is secure when you make this call.
Wits 3, technology 4. So that would be 6 dice pool, 1 hunger. Is there a difficulty level for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2 right now.
2? Okay. Roll. 3 successes.
Great. So you ring them many times, and what you realize is that it's coming through as a number that she doesn't recognize for you to do this. And finally, Sabrina is like, "Hello, who is this? Fuck off! I don't want to buy anything."
Sabrina, it's
Fuck
Jen.
me.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Jen, where have you been? What's going on?
Look, I can't really explain. I got
Are
into
you
some weird shit.
serious?
Huh?
You missed a huge presentation.
I know. I'm
Last
sorry.
week.
I know. I'm sorry. Look, you know how we've been trying to expand the company and I've been talking to lots of people. I got in with some weird folk and I need you to start
Weird
taking
folk. What the?
I'm in some trouble, Sabrina. Will you listen to me, okay, please?
Okay,
This is
okay,
important.
I'm sorry. Okay, sure. Yeah.
I'm in a bit of trouble, okay?
Okay.
And I need you to just take over the company. They're going to be people that are
no,
Sabrina, you can do that. We've talked about this.
can't
You can
do
do
this.
this. You can do this. You can do. I'm not going to be completely gone. I'm just not going to be able to come in to the
I
office.
don't know how
okay?
any of the stuff works. You know how the tech works.
We're going to keep talking. I'm not going to be inaccessible. I just can't come in person. I will explain it to you eventually. I swear to God, you just have to trust me.
Is this like related? Oh shit, Jen.
To what?
I mean, like, weird people have been like hanging around the offices.
Okay, yeah. They want to take the company from us and we're not going to let them. Okay? They're going to try to buy you out or do something weird. So what I want you to do, it's business as usual, okay? You can do this. You'll have access to me. It won't be as consistent as you probably want it, but you can do this.
Yeah, it won't be. Yeah, okay. Great.
And I want you to increase the security in the building. Okay?
We don't
freak out. Just
we're all invested in that new graphic stuff that you were looking into. I now you need me to move money over to security. It's like,
yes.
Fine. Okay, fine. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we can keep talking. I'm not going to disappear. It's just going to be a little weird for a while. I swear to you, I will explain it all later. But for now, just
You're not hurt?
No. Not really.
You don't need me to get someone to help you. I'll get someone.
Sabrina, it's very nice. Right no, don't try to find me. Okay, I'll meet with you when it's the right time. Just take care of yourself. Increase security. Do not sell the company. You can do this. Okay. I'm gonna keep calling you on this line. Only call me on this line. Got it?
Okay.
Oh, don't cry. I hate
I'm
when
not
you cry.
crying.
Don't cry, Sabrina. It's gonna be fine.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay?
It's fine. Sure. Okay, I just have to go because I am.
Look, Richie knows all the code and shit. Just trust Richie,
Right.
okay? If you have
I
questions,
got it.
okay?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my tone.
All right.
You can do this, okay?
All right.
Okay. If you need anything, just call me on this number, okay?
All right, honey. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.
That's not a professional
I
environment.
love you.
We're a bunch of millennials.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Emotional over
God!
I
I'm
know.
calling HR. I'm
It's
calling
fine.
HR.
Spirit of me greets the spirit of you.
It's your close friend, you know.
Yeah.
Now that takes care of part one. You've given the orders. You've steered the ship, but the next thing you wanted to do is kind of erase your presence, and then kind of establish how you were going to monitor everything, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think you need to make some rolls. I think that makes sense, right? And by the way, you're doing this like from like a cafe that has good internet, or maybe you've rented like a little bit of like a corporate space where, you know, sometimes you can get like just rooms for the day or something like that.
The WeWork situation.
Yeah, but the problem is like all of this stuff shuts down at night. Like, you know what? It seems like it's going to be really difficult. I think you're in some kind of coffee shop or something. And
Could I have rented a space that I specifically like is in like a basement area? Like, could I have gotten a space?
You're trying to
I'm
set up
paying
your
myself.
own haven,
Yes.
a separate haven,
A secret one. These
secret haven.
boys can know about it, but not these
I don't know. What's more important to you? Do you want to get yourself hidden, or do you want to set up this like space for yourself? You only have so much time.
I feel like I have to get hidden first.
Okay. Then I think that you're doing this from a very makeshift situation. Like you're literally in the back of like a goddamn coffee shop or in some kind of WeWork that you have bribed the guy to let you use overnight.
Okay.
And you are now going to I think to kind of erase your presence in the company, I want a manipulation plus finance roll, but to completely like give yourself just all these back doors and to kind of like be invisible, like your eyes are invisible to people looking at the situation. I'm going to say that it's going to be difficulty of 4.
Oh God. Okay. That's
Do
fair.
you have
All
the
right.
hunger?
Do I still have 1 hunger?
Yeah, I think so. Night to night,
Okay.
because you're just feeding on animals. Well, first of all vampires always have 1 hunger unless they like feed from, say, the Prince of the City for an evening. Like drink from her blood like Miles did last time. How'd you do there, Jen?
3 successes, but it was still a failure.
Jen, here's what's happening. You are like trying to do this, but like you spent your life learning how to do like actual like business like on the level, and now you're trying to do like all of this sort of like cooking the books like backdoor stuff, and you're skunk working your own company, and you don't really quite know how to do it is what you realize.
Okay.
And that's where I'm going to leave you for right now. Let's talk to Curtis Krieger. Curtis, how are you spending this week?
You know, I just maybe got back from a little hunting expedition with Ruby. My she's my my pit terrier mix.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty satisfied after sucking the wrist of a guy in a floral print shirt that I saw coming out of a pop-up theater space that's in a warehouse that used to be a fucking coat factory. And,
yeah, Curtis is just feeding on improvisers.
Yeah, I'm feeding on.
I'm missing all of this. I'm going to rejoin. For some reason, I can't hear Ross, but continue. But I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, I'm feeding on an improv coach and stole all the $25 that he had in his pocket.
Yeah.
No, I just take his blood.
Finally striking a blow to the patriarchy by hitting at those improv coaches.
Yeah. And
what do you have? What do you have in mind for your week? What are you thinking? Like, I've
been building up my routine and kind of getting a handle on this. But I've been thinking that this is small potatoes, and if what I'm doing is not just for blood, but for some kind of justice in this world. When I was out in the streets, I mean, when I was buying, sometimes it would just be, peer to peer. Sometimes you junkies serving junkies, but there were a few people that were flooding the city. People who were living swell and high on the hog, and getting us all hooked. And if I could take out one of those people, then I think that might be better for everybody.
Interesting. So you want to hurt a dealer?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have the power to do it now, I think. Whereas before, you might have come out of it. You might have died because these guys are dangerous people.
Extremely.
All right. Give me so are you trying to track one of them, first of all?
Yeah.
Why don't you give me a wits plus streetwise roll to see if you can kind of track one of the guys that used to sell Oxycontin to you.
All right. And my hunger would still be at 2, you reckon?
I think that it's down to 1 now. You told me you just
Oh yeah, I just sucked down on the guy who was done. Floral shirt guy who just got done coaching mixed nuts.
Someone who's someone who's in debt to a liberal arts university.
Yeah.
You fed on that guy, so
3 successes. Success. I don't know what the difficulty was, but
okay, great. So you kind of like find this guy that used to kind of sell to you. His name is Lockwood, Brad Lockwood. And he is like, Pittsburgh, it has rednecks. Like Appalachia's right there beneath it. And there are some of these guys through the city who maintain kind of meth operations and things like that. And they kind of go into dive bars and they have product. And they have their clientele who meet them there, who give them a text, hey, come meet me. And you find him at one of his old watering holes, this dilapidated bar called the Barge in Mount Washington, which overlooks a particularly smelly part of the Ohio River. It's up on a hill over the Ohio River. And he's in this dive bar, and he's got his kind of like his little case like down under the booth. And he's like having a beer with some friends because they're never alone, these guys. And they're kind of like laughing their asses off. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't really want to make myself known to him. I almost want to see where he lives.
No problem. So I think that what happens is that you just see him go in the bar.
Okay.
Maybe you spy him through a window in that scene I just mentioned, but mainly you and Ruby kind of stay across the street just kind of watching him.
Okay.
And while you're watching him, you see, oh shit, you have a touchstone. What's the name of your touchstone?
It's Craig. I served
Craig, yeah. And Craig walks into the bar. You didn't just serve with Craig. You know that he and you shared a lot in common in terms of your background here.
Yeah.
He goes into the bar.
Craig, no. The last time I saw him was at an NA meeting. We were clean.
And he comes out a suspiciously short time later, clutching something in his pocket of his like worn service jacket.
I hitch up, or I have Ruby on a leash, even though I don't need to. But so I hustle across the street surreptitiously and see if I can catch up to him. And as I do, I try to blush myself.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I try to get pink, as it were.
hashtag get pink. Roll that rouse roll. That's 1d10, and you're just seeing if you get a 6 or above.
Right. Come on, Daddy. Uh-oh. Total failure.
Okay, that's okay. That just means that your hunger goes up. You had to use blood to like give yourself the blush of life,
Uh-oh.
and now your hunger is at 2.
Mhm.
So you have 2 hunger as you talk to your good friend, and you've shouted out to him.
Yeah. All right. Just Mark. I come up next to him and I'm just like,
And he turns around and he's like, Curtis, man, where the fuck have you been, man? Hey, what's up? And he comes up and he just wants to give you a big hug.
and I just
The second he gets near you, the dog goes,
and I just like,
he's like,
I kind of
whoa.
I step back and I put that little Caesar Milan fang hand on Ruby's neck, like, and it's like, I'm just it's like, hey, question is, where you
Got
been,
a
man?
dog. Huh?
Yeah. Where you been, man?
Around. I'm just
I haven't seen you around lately.
seeing some old friends.
You've been in the streets. You've been in meetings.
Well, I've been at the meetings. Dude, what the fuck, man? I've been at the meetings. You have not been at the meetings.
Hey.
Are you going to St. Mary's now? They got better donuts over there?
Yeah, you might see me over
Dude,
there.
it's so good to see you, man. It's
good to
really
see you,
good to
man.
see you. Yeah, I've been straight, man. I've been straight and narrow, you know? It's just like keep one day at a time. They say having animals helps. Does the dog help?
The dog helps. I want to read him and see if he's. I want to assess him, see how if did he just go off the wagon or has he been off?
Give me a I think a wits plus insight will allow you to see that. That sounds good. You know what, Curtis, if you'd prefer, you could use larceny. Larceny is kind of about criminal endeavors.
Okay, so wits plus larceny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to steal my impression of him.
Well, I think that like it's to me, I interpret larceny as you know how to do shady shit. Oh, actually, you know what? That might actually be streetwise. That's streetwise to know if someone's on the stuff.
Oh, streetwise.
Use streetwise, not larceny.
All right, that's better for me anyway. Cool.
That's better for me anyway.
It's better for me anyway. Doggy, that's a success.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like he's been off like not long, but he's in it a little bit. There's like a little bit of, there's no outward signs of drug use. There's just the look of hunger that you recognize.
Yep. And I know all too well. I mean, am I mistaken? Or I just see you having a conversation with Brad Lockwood.
Oh yeah. He's over in the barge. Yeah.
You guys have a good chat.
What are you saying, man?
You know what I'm saying.
You saying I'm using? Because I'm not.
Look, no one knows like me what you're going through. Okay. And we both know that you're going to regret the fuck out of that tomorrow. Whatever's in your pocket right now, give it to me. And the fuck, don't give it to me. I want you to throw it down the drain and get yourself to a meeting right now.
It's just been a fucking hard week, man.
It's been hard for me too, man. What's going on? Open up to me.
I think what I need from you is a charisma plus persuasion roll.
Okay.
Did Curtis say it as eloquently?
Vampire.
Yeah. Did Curtis say it as eloquently as Ross Bryant can?
Probably not.
It? Well, maybe he made a mistake, but maybe he did it. Let's see. Charisma plus persuasion.
That was a total failure.
Oh.
Craig gets in your face and goes, "Man, fuck you, man. You're not my fucking mom. Fuck you, Curtis, you fucking junkie, you fucking lying fucking junkie. You're back on the shit too. I can fucking see you. Fucking dog doesn't fool me, you fucking liar.
Okay.
Pushes past you and he hits you with his shoulder as hard as he can as he pushes past you. And that's when I need you to make a willpower roll.
Yes,
Yeah,
I feel it.
devour your touchstone.
So I just roll however many
Have a
pips of willpower I
succoning.
have.
Yes, but remember that if you've used any willpower, it stays at the lower level and you roll that many dice.
Okay, I don't think I've used any.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And there's no hunger dice in a willpower roll either.
Okay. Success.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. How many
Damn it.
successes did you get?
I know. 2 success, 2 failure.
Okay, 2 successes is enough here. I'm going to allow, this isn't, he didn't do anything that bad. You've seen this kind of behavior from this guy before. So the beast inside of you for a second, it like roared.
When he goes past me, I'm just like,
Yeah, curb your dog, man. He doesn't realize you're the one that just
Right.
made that sound.
you know where they are. You know where they are when you need them. The answer isn't in that pocket, man. And then
He
I
just
turn
keeps walking.
and I turn around and now I'm more pissed at Lockwood than ever. And I just walk up to the window and of the barge and I stare at the table where he's sitting.
Okay, great. He's sitting there laughing, having a good old time. And at one point he looks up and he sees you and he goes, raises his beer to you.
I just kind of like nod through the window and give him one of those. I point down at the dog and I'm like, can't come in.
Okay. He comes out. He is like lighting a cigarette as he comes out. He's like, "What's up, Curtis, man? Hadn't seen you in a fucking while, man.
Yeah, what's up, Brad? Haven't been in this part of town in a while.
How you doing, bro? You look
know.
like shit, man. You look like fucking shit.
Yeah, I guess we've both seen better days, huh? Is
Ah,
that your truck?
I'm styling, man. Check out this shit. Check out this new starter, man. Steelers, dude.
I didn't know those came in leather.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Well, if you got the fucking roll, you can afford it, So what can I do for you, man? You you need something? I got shit on me.
Actually, might need a little more than a little something. I got a line on some people on the other side of town who might be interested in a big amount of product, and they're looking for somebody to move it. I'm just wondering if I could strike a different sort of deal with you, if you know what I mean.
Sure, man. Yeah, I mean, fuck. I mean, you're one of my best customers till I thought I heard you got clean.
Hey, just because I got clean doesn't mean that the whole city did.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what are we talking? Like 60-40?
Sounds good to me.
All right, brother. Yeah. I mean, it'd take me a couple of days. Yeah. But I could get you a lot of shit. I mean, what kind of shit are we talking?
I mean, if you could just split it, oxys and smack, man. Whatever you got, honestly. Hey,
Just all of it. You just want a fucking cornucopia of fucking forget-me-nots to fucking land on a doorstep somewhere. All right, fine. Okay. I just need you to introduce you to my guy because he's the one that can move that much shit. So maybe we come back here and we hook that up, right? You got?
Yeah.
Can I text you?
Introduce me to your guy. No, you can't text me. I prefer to keep things a little au naturel. You know what I mean? Forgive me for being old school. Just give me a time and a place at night, and I'll be there.
All right.
Days aren't good for me right now. I got a job.
Okay, dude. Yeah, whatever works for you, man. Yeah, all right. I guess meet me back here like Friday night.
Seems a little public, doesn't it?
Well, my guys, they're cool. It's cool here. Okay, the barge is like cool with them. So like, it's not like everybody here is cool. Look, there's a room in the back. We can meet private.
All right. Now we're talking. All right. How's about I see you there then? What are we
Sounds
talking?
good to me, motherfucker. Stay alive.
You stay alive too, Brad. You stay alive too.
Miles Vanderbuck, how have you been spending your week?
Oh boy. Well, Miles wants names. Okay.
Okay.
He wants the names of the people that were part of Flowcom that ousted the trustworthy union leader and put in their own puppet to dismantle the Brotherhood down at the docks. And he wants the names of the people who denied his wife coverage when she was sick.
Okay, great.
So the second one seems a little, he's not sure where to go on the leads. So the first one, he just kicks it off with talking to the guy, his union boss, who's a few years older than him and retired some years back. And it's like, it just wants to go to his house one night and ask him,
yeah.
who was the one that was putting the shift to you? When are you having all those battles?
Look, man, I left all that behind me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. This is his name is Ronell Dodge, by the way.
Ronnie, baby. Not baby.
You're gonna be in motion pictures.
I got the rights to the whole thing.
He's like, I fought that fight for 25 years, and we won a lot of battles, but the whole game has changed, and I'm out. I don't want to have anything to do. I don't follow what's happening in the union anymore. I got my grandchildren. I got my house. I don't want to fucking talk about it. If you want to get into all that shit with somebody, you should talk to this fucking reporter down at the Post-Gazette.
Oh, yeah? Who's that?
Her name is Nita Combs. Neda, Nita Combs. And she was trying to do a story on all the shit Flowcom's been doing in town. Like, fuck, 5 years ago, then again 3 years ago, she came and talked to me. I still haven't seen the story yet.
Hey, I'm out too, Ron. I don't work for the union. I'm not down at the docks anymore either, okay? This is for the young guys. The guys that don't even know what they're getting into. The guys that are just scraping by in a city that doesn't care for them no more. I'm telling you, I feel better than I've ever felt. I feel stronger than I've ever felt before in my life. I think I can do something this time. Damn it!
You look kind of weird, man.
Oh, I was just shaking off a cold recently.
Yeah, I don't remember you telling me that you were using the blush of life, Miles Vanderbuck.
No,
so
I did not get pink, I guess.
as Ronell Dodge is looking out of his, like, split level range.
Yeah, I'm just like standing on the street having this conversation.
Yeah, he's like, all right, man. Well, take care of yourself. I think we're done here.
Ron, it's me, Miles.
Locks the door.
Son of a
Shuts
bitch.
another door. Locks it.
All right.
Could Jen
Well-
help Miles a bit with this stuff?
She could. I don't know if Miles went to her and told her about it.
I don't know computers.
I think the next thing we need to talk about is, are you guys meeting back at your haven, like, to sleep every day?
I would
Seems-
imagine so. That's like the that's a safe place that we all know about, right?
Okay, great. Are
If
you?
that's the case, then Miles is definitely coming back one night, being like, "God damn!" Like swearing about how he has a name, he doesn't know where to go, and how the hell is he gonna find her? God, some reporter will leave before night down. Night down, he calls it apparently.
Night Down.
Yeah.
Night Down is my
Night
favorite.
Down.
It's my favorite new metal band from 2001.
Yeah.
Night Down.
Yeah, they did the Mandy soundtrack.
Yeah.
There's a guy in a car watching the factory.
Ooh. When you come, okay.
He looks like he's trying to look like clean cut, but everything has gotten like out of hand. Like the well-combed hair, like part of it has like popped up, and like the 5 o'clock shadow is a little unruly. And he's eating a ham sandwich, and he's looking at the factory in like a big like sedan.
Shit, we got a blade on our hands.
We got
Is there
here is
anything
one of your
around
blades.
the factory that's residential? Is it just all
There's a lot of residential.
industrial?
No. I mean, the factory, okay. Not immediately beside the factory. No, there's no residential. But I'll say Pittsburgh, it's not quite all apartment buildings. Like, it's not all quite, big rectangle, multi-stories. Like, a lot of people rent houses. And neighborhoods like Mexican War Streets have houses, rows of houses. A lot of them a bit run down, and they are a couple blocks from you. You kind of got to get out of this like part where they're taking the old warehouses and turning it into cafes and like costume shops and like improv theaters, and you got to go a little further and you get into some back streets where there's some houses and things like that.
So would it be conceivable for a man and his dog, for example, to be going on a walk past this factory to be able to look into this car and see what the deal is?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. So is Miles the one that saw the car, or did we all see it?
I think Miles saw it. He said he was coming back and like,
Night Down.
Damn it, that fucking night. So it's Night Down just happened.
Yeah, I burst in the door and say,
Yes, I can't get nowhere. Anyway, there's some creepy, shady-looking fella in a
van, did you say?
he's in a sedan.
in a sedan outside. He's eating a goddamn ham sandwich of all things.
And drinking a cup of coffee.
What kind of maniac eats a sandwich past Night Down?
That's day up fiddles.
That's lunchtime snackery.
At least
Suddenly a flashlight flashes into the windows of the factory.
There's a downstairs, right?
There's a sub basement that you guys have been kind of sleeping in, so that you're just not in the floor of this factory where there are these big broken windows and stuff like that.
All right. I might actually. It's like, I don't know that Curtis would have this idea himself, but if Jen was like, people walk their dogs outside, I could see what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Careful though, Curtis. We don't know who this guy is. He could be government. I'm poking my nose around Flowcom and goddamn insurance companies. I mean, I kicked a hornet's nest.
You think this guy's some like JSOC?
Look, I'll go with you.
Miles thinks that he's
normal.
He's tapped into like the president's veins or something.
It's Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
So I'll
Careful for a second gunman.
Okay, speaking of second gunman, you still got that pistol I gave you. I point to Jen.
Oh, I was like, no.
God. Can we say that we've done any target practice during this time?
Yeah, I don't think so, because that's not what you spent your week doing.
That's
Right.
fair. Yes, I have it, but I'm not gonna. I'll bring it. I'll hand it to you.
Just keep it down here just in case anything goes off. And I have mine that I stashed in my belt at per cannon. And I look at Ruby and I'm just like, and we head down the corridor to the Ninja Turtles hatch.
Oh, okay. You are now like down the street and behind the guy. And if you get eyes on him, he's not trying to be surreptitious. He's just kind of standing in the street, kind of aiming his flashlight at the factory, and it kind of looks like he's looking for an entrance.
Okay, I kind of try to put myself together as much as possible, and I guess reblush.
Okay. Give me another rouse roll.
Okay.
This is the thing. I know that it seems so frustrating to have to do that every time, but that's what it's like for vampires. Like, just to look human for a moment, you have to potentially become hungrier. And the hungrier you get, the more likely you are to do something bad.
God damn it. Total failure.
Hunger of 3 now.
Yes. Yes.
Get into it, Curtis.
So this guy looks.
Have a sucking on him.
Give the man a bit of the old suck. And so yeah, I try to button up and look as presentable as Curtis can in any given situation, and
Yeah.
just kind of walk up like I'm walking my dog. It's like,
He turns the flashlight to you and then clicks it off when he sees you.
and I'm just like, I think she likes you.
Cool. You're Krieger.
Huh?
It's cool. It's cool. And he flashes a tattoo. It's like a brand on the side of his neck.
Do I recognize it?
Yeah, it's like those tattoos that the servants wore in Elysium. And he's like, they sent me to remind you guys. Do you know what I'm reminding you about?
Oh, fuck. The Anarchs.
I drank a lot of wine in between now and then.
He goes, oh man, you guys better start remembering what they tell you, because they've been nice so far, but there's another side to them. You have your weekly check-in tomorrow night at Elysium. Every week you got to be there Friday night.
Well, what do they want done
None of
before
us
then?
did that.
They don't want anything done. I'm just here to remind you because you don't have a phone. Yeah, that's it. Will you tell your friends that are in the factory right now?
Yeah. Who am I speaking to? You used my name and I don't know yours.
I'm sorry. I'm Detective Cope. I represent...
Detective. Sorry.
That's okay. I represent Elysium in certain matters which have to be conducted during the day by officer of the law. Puts his flashlight away and he goes, maybe I'll see you tomorrow night?
Yeah, maybe you will.
All right. Have a good rest. And he walks back, gets in the sedan, and turns the key.
All right. I hustle back and talk to them and be like, guys, we fucking blew it.
No. You have so you don't, you just forgot about it, but that's why he's here to remind you. He's reminding you ahead of time.
Right.
Tomorrow night, Friday night, you have to meet at Elysium with the other vampires and discuss. Well, maybe you did blow it. Discuss what progress you've made in terms of rooting out these anarchs or getting closer to them. So I want to put the question to you, and it's a real question, because Jen Brown was saying, fuck the anarchs, fuck the Camarilla. I'm not doing either side. I'm doing my own thing. Do you guys want to go to this meeting?
I do. Miles definitely does. Thomas just forgot about that task. But Miles is kind of starting to get either be seduced by or just get the vibe of the prince and what she's all about, and fuck the anarchs. But although he may be buying into the system that he's trying to overthrow, so there's a little bit, but he gets it.
Okay, yeah.
I think
so. He wants to play good boy for now.
I think self-preservation is guiding Curtis, and just if we fuck up, I don't want to deal with the brand of justice that you bore witness to up in that place.
But there's one problem, Curtis. Your meet is tomorrow night.
Yeah. So I got to figure that out.
Shit.
How does Jen Brown feel about it? And does she tell her two coterie mates?
Jen, I think still feels that way, but knows that probably, although there was that person in her apartment who very likely might be there, and heard her saying all that stuff to Curtis anyway. But it seems like not going is a death sentence. So playing along is, for now, is probably wise. So
then it sounds like it's a resounding yes, we'll be there. And what I want to hear just from Curtis is how he's handling briefly the fact that he's not going to attend this meet that he set up. Fix it later. Try to get word to Brad.
Yeah, I think I'd try to get word to Brad.
And how are you doing that?
I guess I mean, it's now. I'm sorry to catch me up on timeline. So this is happening.
You have a day. You have a day
of rest
tomorrow night. Yes, a day. So it's getting close to dawn now, which is why Miles was coming rumbling back. You have it's going to be dawn soon.
We sleep and then wake up, and then we are supposed to be at Elysium. Then
they don't really. Elysium happens all night, and the problem with only being alive during the night is that there are only so many hours. It's hard to do a bunch of things. Sometimes in the summer, night is like, not that long. So you could get word to him though. You could get word to him. I mean, you just if you can't think of how to do it, I can come up with some things. Probably you.
No, I mean,
courier service.
Yeah, right. I would just get a bike messenger or something.
Yeah.
Or,
do you want to do that?
Or call the phone of the bar.
Yeah. That sounds like the best.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay, you leave a message. I'm not going to make it tonight. What do you say exactly to the guy? Just a bartender.
Right. Hey, is your manager there? Can I speak to your manager?
Easy, Karen.
Do you say it like that?
No.
Okay. He says, no.
You know a fellow named Brad Lockwood, regular there?
Who's asking?
Curtis. He'll know who.
Okay, I don't know you. Well, you got a message for him?
I do have a message for him. Tell him that we're pushing the meeting back to the night after next.
Okay, click.
All right.
Elysium, but first you awaken the next night. And when you awaken, I want everybody to make another rouse check.
Deal.
And that's just the one die, right?
Just the one die.
Nope. Failure.
You gain a point of hunger. Jen, we can say you're at 2 hunger now, I believe. Okay. Right? You hadn't failed before, I don't think. And you're okay. Curtis, you're holding at 3. Miles, how'd you do?
I failed, so now I have hunger.
You have 2 now. I think that, right after feeding from the prince's wrist, you were down to 0. But over the course of the week, you went to the place all vampires kind of live at, which is at 1 hunger.
You got it, babe.
Soon, so you're at 2 now. So soon you arrive at the U.S. Steel building. And when you get to the elevators, there are those security guys from last time who, if you look closely, have tattoos on the back of their necks. And they kind of activate the elevator for you and send you up to the 60th floor. And once again, you are in the opulent 60th floor where a full party seems to be bustling in full swing. Strange people are laughing in corners and looking around hungrily at each other. There's a something in the air of a nest of jackals or hyenas out on the Serengeti, and you can enter, and you are supposed to meet with the prince. That's who you were supposed to check out in with. In the meantime, you can go for that immediately, or you can mingle. Like, what are you trying to do?
I'd like to get a drink.
I think
Immediately.
I'd also like to get a drink immediately.
Okay, great.
I want to do an alcohol blood. What should that cocktail be called? Clint, I feel like you have a pun up your sleeve for this if you want to pop in with it.
Copper pot.
Copper pot.
Are we?
I just want to talk to Ross.
There it is.
A pun so grand it broke the internet.
So you go up and you order blood and vodka.
The red tide. Yes.
The red tide is way better. But I wouldn't
Sorry,
order that
client.
because you're the one that invented that. So you order blood and vodka, and the guy who's a bartender, who is like this like weird looking, like very pale like woman in like a very formal like roof like bar kind of like they make them wear the vest and the little bow tie, goes, blood in vodka?
Yes. Blood and vodka. Just mix them together.
No. And she like turns away from you.
What do you mean no?
That bitch. Grab
Do
her by
I
the
see
hand.
vodka on the shelf?
There is vodka on the shelf.
I'm just gonna take it because there's people going around with like little platters with blood.
Yeah, so you
Goblets or
do
whatever,
do
right?
that. You did get it right, or at least maybe Thomas did. There's like a disdain, like why would you mix it? You're disgusting. You basically just went like into a restaurant and were like, "Do y'all have any SpaghettiOs?" You know what I mean? Like, you're like the bartender's like, if I do that, I'll get in trouble. Like,
Okay.
but as you're like pulling the vodka off the shelf yourself, you just suddenly realize Miss Sonia is just on the stool beside you.
Jesus.
She's like, snobs.
What are
She
you
drinks
having, Miss
some blood.
Sonia?
I'm having blood, darling.
Are you gonna get upset if I have a mixed drink?
I don't judge people the way some of these others do. I know it's hard to be different. And as she says that, you can see like her like weird like rolls of fat kind of jiggling on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And like you notice a wart you didn't notice before.
Right. Totally. Yeah. We're on the same page. I'm gonna like take a goblet and pour some vodka and drink it as she and I are talking. I'm gonna,
Is there
sort of
anything-
surreptitiously try to not look at it.
Okay. You do that. And I think that, you've been working on this a little bit. So I'm going to say you can go ahead and take off a point of hunger. You figured out how to mix the blood and vodka in a way that makes you kind of get a little bit of sustenance out of it as a thin blood. So I'm going to allow you to do that over the course of this drink. And Miss Sonia says something like, she's like, tell me, dear, what's going on with you? We're connected. How can I help?
How can you help? I'm trying to get some access to my company so that I can get research on the Anarchs. They must have some sort of footprint online. But
You think that your company is connected to the Anarchs?
No, I just think we have a lot of information. So if I could get access to the information that we have, if they're using humans as thralls or ghouls or whatever you guys call them, I would just be able to get a lot more information if I could.
The Camarilla frowns on your business. Technology is bad for the Masquerade. Technology is how the Second Inquisition destroyed every vampire in London. You don't even know about this, do you?
No.
Yeah. The wrong email went to the wrong person. And now there are no kindred in London, a place where we were using as a seat of power for 1,000 years.
Well, wouldn't it be nice to be able to observe those things, not necessarily participate, but when the wrong email gets sent, to see it?
Between you and me, I agree. But some of these others don't feel the same way.
And she looks over, and in the corner of another part of the room, you see the man, Mr. Francis, who came and gave you the offer earlier. And he's with a kindred who is just a giant slab of a man in a suit that's like somehow been wrapped around him and buttoned like this enormous, like just like the definition of fat cat, who's like sitting there with like a huge cigar.
Like Kingpin and Spider-Verse type of deal?
Exactly like that. So,
So
Miss
how
Tony
could
said-
I get them off of my ass?
I could show you. We Nosferatu know how to do these things. But I would have to be sure of your loyalty.
What does that mean?
Well, you hear such strange things these days. People who aren't grateful for gifts that they've been given. This, for example. And she pulls a little recorder out of her pocket and she plays it. And you hear your voice a week of nights hence going like, fuck the Camarilla, fuck the Anarchs. I'm not on either side. I'm doing my own thing. She's like, whoever said that would be making a very unwise decision. Do you know
Was
her?
upset? You know it was me, Miss Sonia. I don't appreciate the subterfuge, okay? You know it was me. I was upset.
Learn to appreciate it, or you won't last very long. I can help you. I can teach you. Do you want my help?
Is there a role that I would do to be? It would be manipulation or something, right? To be convincing that I'm loyal.
Sure, yeah. Give me a manipulation plus subterfuge roll. And this is Miss Sonia. She's gonna roll an opposing
it's
roll.
not
And
wise.
she'll see how she'll do. She'll see how she does.
Maybe this is not wise. Okay. I'm just gonna go for it. So my hunger's at 1 now, right?
It is. That's right.
So that would be 4 normie die.
4 normies.
4 normies, 1 hungy.
4 normies, 1 hungy, and let it roll.
And throwing an incel in there.
Success.
4 normies. How many successes did you get? Because that will be important when I'm rolling. And if you got 1 success, okay. All right.
Oh, Jen.
Oh dear.
That's not gonna go well for old Jen Brown.
Oh, Jen Brown, your numbers come up.
It's these leads. Like, what can I do with these leads?
Okay.
You just watch.
She says, I'm so happy you've seen the light, my dear. And she pulls you in and she kisses each of your cheeks.
Can I do a whatever a perception check is to see if she actually believed me or if that was also more subterfuge?
Give me an insight check, a wits plus insight check.
5. Okay. Same roll. Roll, please. Roll the die. Success.
Yes. Okay. She, for all intents and purposes, believes that you have decided to be loyal to her.
Okay.
Well done.
And that is when one of those security guards comes walking up to the 3 of you. I assume you guys are not too far away. And it's like, the prince will see you now.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Can it be assumed that I had one of the past apps and drinking some of that?
Sure.
So,
That's the benefit of Elysium. If you drop by Elysium, You can take a point off that hunger.
Right.
They have that fresh blood. They have someone tied up in the basement of the building right now, and they're just like putting a spigot into their side, like and
It's like fast food. It's best if you don't think about where it came from. You take it and-
meanwhile, 60 floors up, people are like, "Cheers!" Clink.
Miles waves it off. He's got a taste for the real thing.
Oh, interesting. You're taken into that like very large like auditorium style room where they have like, a big screen. It's like a lecture room or whatever. And when you get in there, you notice that Churchill Jackson is already in there. And when he sees Curtis, he kind of nods at you. Churchill Jackson, the sheriff of the city, who has sort of adopted or agreed to sponsor Curtis's new role in Camarilla Society. And of course, Adelaide Ross is there. And now you are joined by Miss Sonia. And Adelaide says, "Well, how is everyone getting on? Come in. Shut the door." And that security guard shuts the big doors into this room.
Well, Miss Ross, I think we're settling into this new life, living in a warehouse and wrapping up loose ends on the life that we had to say goodbye to.
Good. And I assume that those goodbyes have been said now, and we can begin investing in you by removing your presence from daytime society. Is that correct?
Miles nods.
You
Correct.
understand that now that you've said goodbye, there will be no more contact with your mortal lives. That is an important rule of how we survive night to night.
My mind
nice.
flashes back to Craig calling me a worthless junkie, and I just look up and I'm like, it's okay.
Miles' mind flashes back to that bonehead Travis coming into the door, hanging out with his sweet daughter. And he knows maybe he's not being completely honest, but yeah.
Jen might be thinking about a conversation she had with Sabrina or any number of plans that she has.
But you guys get to have contacts with mortals, don't you?
Oh, wow. Really? Adelaide is like, I love this. Yes, but they aren't from our previous lives. Does that make sense, dear?
Sure, but how does this work? I mean, if the whole point to not have contact with your mortal life is to preserve the masquerade, right? Then
You are not a human anymore. They are food to you. The
I get
more
it.
you think of them as people, the more you are going to resist the power and the gift that you've been given.
Then why do we use them?
Use
You
them?
you have them under your employ. I mean, a human came to our factory last night.
Yes, well, he can be trusted. I assume you're talking about Detective Cope.
How do you know he can be trusted?
Well, it was a process of many years, but he is currently a retainer to a member of my own clan, Clan Malkavian. He is recompensed for his duty with the Vitae. It's very hard for one to quit that addiction once it has been established.
So he's addicted to blood?
Churchill Jackson's like the blood of vampires. He is blood bonded to us. He could not betray his regnant even if he tried.
I see.
But I want to know if you guys have been following the rules. How have you been feeding?
Secretly. Best
In the alleys, like a couple of cats.
Jellicle cats and Jellicle do, and they can and they do.
He just keeps going. Right.
Spinning around.
Yeah. A regular Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser.
Don't make
In
any
our
messes
domain.
that I have to clean up.
No messes.
All right. So then Adelaide Ross is like, right. Well, I'm satisfied. It feels like things are going splendidly. I can't wait to see how it all turns out. But we do have an errand for you tonight, in line with the whole reason we took you on. Have you made any progress in finding out about the Anarch hold in the city?
Thomas speaking. I can't remember if Adelaide gave me a lead or anything last session.
She didn't.
Okay.
We don't really have any leads to go on, other than that they used to be in the place where we're making our haven for the night.
She goes, yeah, I know. We didn't expect you to do anything your first week. That would be impossible. But we do have some ideas tonight. Miss Sonia like gestures to someone, the lights go down, and she brings up a slideshow on the screen. And what you see is a blurry photo of a man fleeing on foot through a parking lot. And Miss Sonia says, for months we've been trying to bring this vampire, which we have dubbed the barfly, to justice. He hunts in bars and moves around the city a lot, feeding where he's not welcome. One of our ghouls got this photo last night as he fled a bar in Lawrenceville. She presses something else, and the photo zooms in on a tattoo. The guy's leather jacket has slipped off, and on his shoulder he has a tattoo of like a bearded man's face with horns. It looks like kind of like a 1950s devil face tattoo. And she says, that is a symbol of the Heathens Motorcycle Club. My theory, and you are going to prove it, and she looks right into Jen's eyes, is that this fool was a member of the Heathens and still maintains connections to his old life. They want you to go see these Heathens, find out who the barfly is, and whether he knows any anarchs, because he's certainly behaving like one. The Heathens maintain a clubhouse in Mount Washington. Go see them. Find out if they know this mosquito so we can swat him. And the lights come back on. And then Churchill Jackson says, and it goes without saying that the masquerade must be scrupulously maintained in this endeavor.
Of course.
You don't have his real name, just Barfly?
Unfortunately, we have no idea who he is, but he's a poacher, and he moves from territory to territory. No vampire is able to survive on their own. That is why we have built all of this. He knows anarchs. Find him and make him tell us who they are and where they are.
You know where these heathens hang out in Lawrenceville? Or that was the last place he was spotted?
Lawrenceville was the last place he was spotted, yeah.
But the heathens hang out in Mount Washington.
They have a club there. Yeah, they
Just
have
so happens I was going to make my way down to Mount Washington sometime this week.
You should go tonight, says Churchill Jackson. He's like, time is of the essence on this. Go now.
As you wish.
All right.
Does anybody else have anything they want to do in Elysium? Anybody they want to talk to? I can tell you. Oh, go ahead.
Is that detective guy around?
Yeah, eventually you do see Detective Cope. He actually waves at Curtis Krieger.
I look, this is the guy that was outside our place. Walk us over there.
Yeah. I want to kind of know how they got to him. What this process was like, how they made contact. Like, why is he a ghoul? Or is
He's a ghoul.
He's a ghoul.
He's pretty open about his weird life. Do you want to chat him up for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a charisma plus. You just want information, and he's willing to give it if you kind of like treat him well and talk to him like an equal. Is
Okay.
that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a charisma plus leadership roll.
Oh, it's not great. Okay.
Okay, you can use persuasion instead if you like.
Oh, that is much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's what I should have told you in the first place.
5 and 1. Success.
Okay, so he tells you that he was on the trail of a really strange case for many years here in Pittsburgh, and that eventually he tracked down the perp that he'd been looking for over 3 years, and realized that he had broken the Masquerade. He had figured out that this person was one of the kindred, and as a reward, his sire made him an offer. Like, instead of breaking open the Masquerade, would he like to eventually one day be rewarded with immortality? And he took the deal. But now he wants to know about you and wants to know your story. How did you manage to impress them so much that you've been given this incredible gift of eternal life?
I don't know.
No. Tell me. Like, they don't just choose anybody. Like, you have to be special.
Well,
my regnant saw that I'm special, like she can see that like I'm meant for big things.
Sure. I guess same. Yeah,
I think I want a charisma plus subterfuge roll.
Okay.
And you only need 2 successes for this.
Okay.
Well, wait, I don't want to make it subterfuge if you don't want to. Are you trying to tell him nothing, or are you trying to tell him a lie about your background? Because he's really trying to dig.
I'm trying to get him off my case.
Okay, give me intimidation instead.
Ooh, I don't have
And that'll
any.
be manipulation plus intimidation.
Okay, so that's just going to be 3 because I'm not intimidating. Is that a 2 difficulty still?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to succeed. Total failure.
But not a bestial failure, right?
No.
Okay. You finally, like in the least charismatic way possible, you go, I gotta go, and you just kind of push him aside, and he sits there kind of staring at you as you leave the bar. Anybody else have any business in Elysium before we move on?
I don't think so.
Very well. How do you want to go about this little investigation? There is a motorcycle gang who they think knows a poacher vampire, at least on the surface, like known anarch. He might not. They're not positive he's connected to the greater anarch movement. That is their theory. So this motorcycle gang has a clubhouse in Mount Washington. That's where they could lead you. What would you like to do to go about this? And you have about, 7 hours left in the night.
I look at Jen and I'm like, this doesn't seem to me like the kind of place that you would be comfortable.
No, I think I'd stick out like a sore thumb. Is there something else I can do to help you? I could keep watch.
Maybe that's the best thing.
You guys probably are more. You won't draw as much attention going in.
I want to roll streetwise, or is there something that like, are the motorcycle gangs are often, if they're illegitimate, deal drugs? Would these be? Is this something that in my time using
plus streetwise, and I want you to add an extra die to it.
Roll what plus streetwise?
Intelligence plus streetwise, and you can add an extra die.
Great. Success.
Yeah, these guys move a lot of dope. The heathens. it's like they're kind of the big operation in Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool. All right.
And the gang is
How many successes? I'm sorry, Thomas.
I'm sorry. It was just 2 successes.
Just 2? Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you. Thomas, what were you going to ask?
and the gang, the heathens. They're not vamps. They're muggles.
They're muggles. They're muggles. Mortals, you might call them. Humans. Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Okay. Or do you want to just go into their little hideout and like have a just hang out there at fucking 2 a.m, which is probably what time it is.
It might be by the time you get over there and kind of track it down, and but look, you could also do intel. Churchill Jackson asked you to get on this, but he didn't say it has to be finished tonight, right? Like, so there's some wiggle room. They're giving you a lot of rope to hang yourself. These Camarilla,
and we know where they sort of hang out at a particular joint.
they've given us the clubhouse.
They've given them that they're.
But that's their clubhouse, not like a public bar in which they hang out at.
That's correct.
Well, then why don't we all? Oh, it's not like we can all fly. Only Curtis Krieger had that sort of innate featherfall vamp ability.
Right, and it's not flying, it's just for fun.
Also,
Okay.
when you stare into the eyes of an animal, can he see through the animal, or does he just
can
give
you
an
warg?
intention? Yeah, could you warg?
Yeah, I don't think that you can warg. I'm going to ask our secret storyteller,
I
Clint,
understand that I can tell him
to
to
look
do
at the power bond famulus. I think that's how it's pronounced, and make sure that it's not a warging thing. I think what it is like this extreme loyalty thing, and with your level 2 power feral whispers in animalism, you can actually have telepathic contact with the animal, and like, so before it just is like very loyal to you and follows you around. It wants a little of your blood occasionally, but at level 2, you can like use feral whispers to make it do things, and you can communicate it to it very easily. Like, and so Ruby, like, I mean, like literally, you could be like, go hop on top of the roof of that car, and she'll do it. Like,
Okay.
it's great if you had like some kind of circus dog act, but that's not what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about in the future.
I can't send Ruby in as a spy. One of us would have to actually go in and talk to him.
Yeah, I don't think that you could. Yeah.
Okay.
Do any of us have like a car? Like, are we allowed to own a car, or did we any of us own cars before?
You're allowed to own cars, and it's been made clear to you that the thing that's forbidden is like smartphones, computers, like telecommunications equipment, anything that records what you're doing. So a car is totally allowed, and I will say that probably all of you had one, because this is not a huge public transit city.
Then I say we just drive. I mean, I can cook up a reason to be there. See if there's anybody there I recognize.
How would they? Because are these things usually secret? They're clubhouses, or do they like to sort of be? Do they like people to be aware
These
of?
kind of places are so intimidating. They just hope that the wrong element stays away. But they don't make an effort to be too
discreet,
surreptitious.
Nice one, Curtis.
I got a word a day calendar.
Wow.
So it sounds like you're driving over there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Curtis, Ruby, the pit, and Miles and Jen are in Curtis's car.
Sure.
What do you drive?
A real beat up, like on its last legs, 1992 Chevy Lumina.
Okay, perfect.
Gotta Google that one.
The Lumina, rattles through Mount Washington, which is
Clint. Get us a picture. What are you doing?
Where is the Chevy Lumina? The audience wants to see a Lumina.
I don't know what a fucking Lumina is.
Okay, the Lumina, which is important to see, rattles through Mount Washington, which is like it's a hilly neighborhood. That's why it's called Mount Washington. So, you're kind of like rattling up the hills, and you go to the address that they gave you, and what you're looking at is an old firehouse that is clearly not in use because it doesn't have any signage for the fire department anymore. But you do see a string of big old Harleys parked out front. Yeah, on this particular night, 4 Harleys are parked out in front of the place. And there isn't a big logo on the front or anything like that. But at this hour, and let's see what hour it is. Okay. It's getting kind of late. You're already past the midnight hour by the time you guys get the car, do your Elysium meeting, get the car, get over here. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning almost. It's like 12:45 or something like that. But there are lights on inside.
Can I do a check to see if from my time using that anyone I knew or got supplied from or used with was a heathen?
Yeah, I think you can just ask that. I don't think that you need to do a check to know that. And what I can tell you is that you knew that they were a big kind of distributor in the area, that they were a big operation, and you always assumed that the guys you bought from were like a rung under them.
Okay, cool. All right. Seems like I'm the sort of people I'm trying to take out.
Yeah, they are the sort of people that Curtis doesn't like.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So now the car is kind of rattling past this string of Harleys and this old fire station. And what would you like to do?
Is there a general whatever the equivalent of a perception check is that we could make? Or
With awareness, but what are you trying to see? What are you looking
to
for?
see if there are any nefarious presences about, if there are vampires of the Camarilla that are like stalking us and trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing, or if there are any rough and rowdy Harley boys that are coming up the way.
Okay. Wits plus awareness will just kind of give you a general kind of observation roll, and you see if there's anybody of interest or anything of interest on the street here.
Plus awareness, so that's 5. Okay. Success.
Okay. There doesn't appear to be anyone on the street. This is like they keep their clubhouse kind of private. It looks like they're on one of those streets I mentioned before where there's mostly like old houses and things. Like it's not really like out in the middle of like one of the main thoroughfares where the other bars and things are.
It's like one of those bars in Chicago that's set back in a neighborhood.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, where it's like houses on all sides. I was like, do you want to be lookout to Jen?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what else am I going to do?
You bring that heat, you bring that rod with
and
you?
I kind of awkwardly fish it out and sort of do one of these and just hand it to him. Just take it.
I take it, I hold it up to her and just like put the safety on, off, on.
Oh, I'm keeping
off.
it.
That's for you.
Oh.
If any, just as a last resort, don't do anything.
Yeah, so I can blow my own brains out. Jesus Christ. Okay. Please teach me how to use this at some point.
I promise. But for now, your greatest weapon's your eyes. I just pop open the door and just like, Miles?
Yeah. Huh?
All right, you guys.
And then I look at Ruby and I'm like, and she comes with us.
There's a side door, and then there's the big old garage doors that used to go up when the fire trucks would come out. And what you hear is like kind of like classic rock music, like blasting through those garage doors.
Yeah, some like rainbow or fog hat mountain.
Yeah, some fog hats going. Yeah.
Okay. I go to the side door and knock, knock, knock.
No answer.
Is there audible noise coming through it? Like,
Yeah, maybe they're just partying so hard, or they just didn't hear you.
um,
Do you have Ruby with you?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I open the door if it's open.
Oh, it is open, and so okay, from this like you're in this like little hall, right? You know, as you open it, and the hall has like cases and like framed photos on the wall, and to your right, it looks like the old garage of the firehouse now has like it's still a garage, but there's people over there like kind of laughing and drinking. And then to like if you go straight back, you go into kind of like a meeting hall or like a kind of like a fire halls always have like places where you can set up folding tables, and you can even see some folding tables back there. And to the left, you see like kind of an office area. And that door is also open. You see like desks and filing cabinets in there. But what I want to know is if these people now notice you because you've just opened the door. So Give me a second. Let me find out. Get their stats and find out. Okay, they do. This like kind of like squirrely looking guy with like he's got thinning hair, but he's still trying to have like hard rock hair. You know what I mean? But it's like really thinning, and he's got like a big spider web on his neck, tattooed on his neck. He comes like, "Can I help you?"
That all depends. I wouldn't normally come in like this, but I mean, who around here could I?
The music shuts off, and like a big busty woman in like leather with like just all the curly hair you can imagine and a lot of makeup, like is looking out of the garage at you as well.
Dog the bounty hunter's wife.
Yeah,
Dog the bounty hunter's wife.
I'm just wondering who I could talk to around here for a little business proposition.
You could talk to fucking nobody and get the fuck out of our club before I fucking cut you. And the guy like fucking immediately pulls a switchblade and pops it open. It's like, right, motherfucker. And then the woman is like laughing. But then another guy, a big old guy with very thick forearms and a big mustache and a crazy mane of like silver hair is like, "Shut up, Rory. Who sent you?"
Nobody sent me. I just figured you might be, as I said, interested in a little business.
Nobody sent you. But you come here to do business with the heathens. What do you know about us?
I know that you move gear through the city. And I know.
Okay. What else?
I know that Brad Lockwood is moving in on your territory.
Moving in.
Or at least he's making plays to.
And now the guy has to do something else. He's looking at your skin really closely now.
Forgot to get pink.
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you? Oh, fuck. And that's when he runs back into the garage. And Rory's like, what? And he's like, get back. And Rory's like, whoa, and starts running back into the garage too. What would you guys like to do?
Okay. I turn to Miles and I try to, as surreptitiously as possible, say to him, seems like they might have seen some of our kind before. We forgot to get pink. But it's like,
Oops.
Forgot to get pink again.
The
Puppers.
big guy with the gray hair comes back around the corner with a huge shotgun and is like, "Go to hell, motherfucker!" and fires.
I jumped.
That is where we'll stop for tonight.
Oh no!
That was great, guys. That was fantastic.
Whew.
Oh,
That was very fun.
jeez.
Oh Lord.
Ah, jeez.
You guys made it
I
fun.
can't
That'll
believe
learn
it.
us.
Yeah, and next time maybe there'll be some fighting and some supernatural powers and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I want to thank again my guests Ashley Burch, Thomas Middleditch, Ross Bryant. Google them, follow all the things they do, and enjoy those things. And I'm going to say goodbye to my guests right now. I'm going to stay on the feed for a little while and answer questions. But let's thank them again with a digital round of applause.
Thank you, Jared.
You were great vampires tonight.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Lots of plots are in play. I can't wait to see if Ashley gets to keep her company. Oh, you have a little homework, Ashley.
I do?
Yes. What is your company's name?
Oh, actually, I was texting with Clint about that today, and he came up with a great one, which
What
is
is
grouper, but without an E. So GROUPR.
I fucking love it. Okay, grouper.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, thanks again. I'll bid you adieu, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time here on Stream of Blood. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
That was Chapter 4 of Vampires of Pittsburgh. I just want to remind you before I forget to tune in 1:30 p.m. PST Pacific Standard Time here on the same stream to see our Cthulhu Dark Ages campaign. That's this coming Sunday. We're going to do 2 parts of Cthulhu Dark Ages and maybe more if people like it. Ooh, there's a question from somebody who's watched a lot of our streams, White Wabbit. What are the odds that Sabrina gets Gould dominated by the Ventru to sign the company over? Let me just write down that idea. Ventru dominate Sabrina. Yep. Thank you. Does anybody else have any great ideas for where the story could go? Because I will use them. I'm curious how familiar with VTM the crew is. So, not very. Not very at all. I think that Ross said that he had the rule book, or his roommate had the rule book at one point, and he'd always wanted to play, but he hadn't got an opportunity. And the others had no experience with it at all, but I knew that they were fantastic role players from my previous experience with them. And I knew that I did want to do a story that kind of slowly, lets the players kind of get into the world, because it's a really complex, very fun world. And so that's what we're doing. They're learning with their characters, and that's kind of fun for me as the storyteller.
Hey, I'm jumping in. I just want to thank everybody for watching and say that we will be back on Sunday, as Jared said. And we'll do one more question, and then I think we're going to get out of here.
Sounds like a good idea. I'd be curious about the city's history of Anarch versus Camarilla. Any Sabbat in play? So I am going with the 5e kind of chronology that says that the Sabbat have kind of disappeared into a secret war in the Middle East at this point in the meta plot, and that the Anarchs versus the Camarilla has become a bigger conflict in the whole meta plot of the game. So right now in North America, at least, it's almost like the Anarchs have the west side of the country and the Camarilla have the east side of the country, the older cities. And my feeling on Pittsburgh is that Chicago is really at war, Anarchs versus Camarilla. So you go a little east of that, you're almost still in the Midwest, but not quite anymore. You're in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh isn't quite at war. Pittsburgh has an Anarch problem, and their problem is they keep popping up like pests, and the Camarilla can't quite get rid of all of them. And as you can see, Adelaide and her pals in the Camarilla leadership are quite sticklers for the rules in some ways, and they really want to take care of this Anarch presence in Pittsburgh. All right. I think that was it, right? That's what we said. So that's where we said we'd stop. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watched, please, retweet or follow us on social media. Retweet it when we're going to go live, and do all that social media shit. And come and see us again, because I love storytelling these games for you guys. So we'll see you 1:30 on Sunday. Bye.